Hello and welcome back to INMR. In today's podcast, I'm going to be going through my game week 18 predictions. It's the Christmas weekend games, plenty of action across the league. Crystal Palace take on Brighton. Aston Villa have the chance to go first, and the big one is Liverpool versus Arsenal, taking place on Saturday evening. I'm going to go through all 9 games. The Man City versus Brentford one has been postponed due to Man City playing in the Club World Cup final. If I get a few of these right, it will mean that there is a team sitting top of the table on Christmas Day that is going to shock a lot of people. So if we start off with the first game, by the time this is out, you're already going to know the score. It is Crystal Palace versus Brighton. Last time out, Crystal Palace drew 2-2 against City. They did really well to come back from 2-0 down. Brighton, on the other hand, didn't have a great result. They lost 2-0 to Arsenal. Palace haven't won a game in their last 6, meaning Roy Hodgson is under a little bit of pressure coming into this game, especially if it doesn't go well for the Eagles tonight. However, Brighton haven't exactly been consistent. They've only had 2 wins out of their last 10 games, and they are yet to get a clean sheet in the Premier League this season. Some people don't agree this is a rivalry. Those inside the environment, so Crystal Palace fans and Brighton fans, know there is. It's going to be a really good game where anything could happen. Form goes out the window for these sort of games just because of the history behind the match. I think it's going to be a really difficult game for Brighton. I don't think they're going to keep a clean sheet. I think it's going to be 2-1 to Brighton. I do think they're just going to nick it at the end. Moving on to Aston Villa versus Sheffield United. This one is more of a sure prediction for me. I do think that this one is going to be correct in terms of the result. I've gone for 4-0 Aston Villa. It's definitely going to be a win. I mean, I can't see how it couldn't be. It would be a massive shock if Chris Wilder's side could get anything from this game. Villa are the only team in the Premier League with an 100% record at home. Sheffield United, on the other hand, have the worst defensive record in the league. They've conceded 43 goals already. In their last 10 games, Villa have won 7 and Sheffield United have lost 7. There is a massive gap between these two sides. A Villa win would put them first for at least 24 hours. Last time out, Villa beat Brentford 2-1 and Sheffield United fell short against Chelsea. They lost 2-0. Moving on to the Saturday games, starting us off will be West Ham versus Man United. Last time out, West Ham beat Wolves 3-0 quite comfortably. Kudus played really well. Man United got a 0-0 draw against Liverpool at Anfield. Quite a positive result for them in my opinion, seeing how poorly it went last season. There's lots of question marks around Erik ten Hag at the moment, and I think a poor result at West Ham won't do him any favours. West Ham have 4 wins in their last 6 games and are looking better and better each game. Obviously the Carabao Cup didn't go too well for them in the week, but in the league I think they've looked really strong. Man United have conceded 9 less goals than West Ham this season, but West Ham have scored 11 more. With Onana currently struggling for Man United, I do think that West Ham aren't going to struggle to get goals. However, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. There's plenty of goals to be scored in this one, but I do think points will be shared at the end of the game. Fulham versus Burnley. Burnley have been really poor this season. I can't see anything positive coming from the game at Craven Cottage. Last time out, Fulham lost 3-0 to Newcastle and Burnley lost 2-0 to Everton. This is the game where Fulham bounce back, I think. Burnley have only won 1 out of their last 10 games. They have been really bad since coming back up. A Fulham win would see them in the top half of the table for a short period. However, they haven't actually beat Burnley since August 2018. No matter what happens this weekend, Burnley are going to remain in the relegation zone. I think Fulham are going to beat them comfortably 2-0. Luton versus Newcastle. I think this is going to be a lot closer than people expect. Luton keep coming really close. They've been very unlucky in recent games. Newcastle's injury list is huge, but I do think they're going to nick it. I'm going to go for 2-1 Newcastle. Last time out, Luton lost 2-1 to Manchester City and Newcastle beat Fulham 3-0. Newcastle guaranteed goals in this game. Luton haven't kept a clean sheet in 20 games and I can't see that run stopping anytime soon, especially with Tom Lockyer still being out. I think his absence is going to be a big miss for them. Luton have lost their last 3 games and will also remain in the relegation zone no matter what. These two sides have only played each other once before. It was in 2018 in the FA Cup where Newcastle beat them 3-1. Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth. This will be Nuno's first game in charge. Forest recently lost 2-0 to Spurs, which saw Steve Cooper get the sack. He's the second manager this season following Paul Heckingbottom's departure from Sheffield United. Bournemouth's last game was against Luton, but that was abandoned. So if we go back to their last complete game, they beat Man United 3-0. New manager bounce potentially could help Nottingham Forest out. However, I don't think it will. It's a tough test to start as Bournemouth are currently in very good form. and have gone unbeaten in their last 5 games, winning 4 and drawing 1. Forest, on the other hand, are 5 games without a win. They've had 4 losses and 1 draw. I do think this will be sort of damage limitation for Nottingham Forest. I think Nuno just wants to get this game over and done with. I do think that Bournemouth are going to beat them 1-0. Everton have been on fire since their point deduction. They've won 4 games on the bounce. They travel to play Tottenham on Saturday, who I think have got back on track just in time. Kulusevski was unreal against Nottingham Forest, and Spurs are going to need more of that if they want to overcome Everton. Both sides won 2-0 in their last game, but I think it's Tottenham who are going to win this time. Everton are unbeaten in 4 away games, and a win could take them as high as 12th on goal difference if other results go their way. However, I think Spurs are going to nick it just about with a 2-1 victory. Liverpool versus Arsenal. This is the final Saturday game. Game of the week, in my opinion. This is the big one. This one matters. Last time out, Liverpool drew 0-0 to Man United. Arsenal beat Brighton 2-0. Liverpool are unbeaten in their last 19 home games, and I don't think Arsenal are going to be the team to end that run. They haven't won a league game at Anfield since September 2012. This fixture's always relatively high scoring, and I don't think it's going to disappoint. A very exciting game that I think will end in a 3-3 draw. Final game of the weekend is Wolves versus Chelsea, taking place on Christmas Eve. I do think Wolves have got a chance of getting something from this game. They beat Chelsea at home last season. In the last 5 home games against Chelsea, Wolves have only lost once, winning 3 and drawing the other one. And this season, Wolves are unbeaten in their last 6 home games. Last time out, Wolves lost to West Ham 3-0. And Chelsea beat Sheffield United 2-0. Although I think goals will be scored, I do think this is going to be quite a boring game. There's not going to be many fans due to it being Christmas Eve. It's the first game being played on that day in 28 years, and personally I don't think we're going to see it happen again. Both sides have been inconsistent. I don't really know what to expect from them. So yeah, as I say, I think it's going to be quite a boring match. But I think we'll see a couple of goals and it will end 1-1. So that is all my predictions for this weekend. The big takeaway from that is that my predictions mean I think Aston Villa are going to sit top of the table on Christmas Day for the first time since 1998. That is where I'm going to end today's podcast. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll be back soon with another one.